Listen, Nord, I hate to keep telling you this, but the radioactive isotopes go in the waste module, and the refined isotopes go into storage. No, I don't want to hear your apologies, I just don't want it to happen again. Your employees here in Industries of Titan are your best friends. They're obedient, cheap, immortal, but managing them to get the very most out of them can still be a headache and a half. Here are some tips to help you out. First up, how do you get more workers? Well, upgrading your headquarters to the max level will allow you to support a much larger workforce. But once your company starts expanding, you are still going to need even more guys working for you. Conversion centers are how you can increase your worker cap even higher, potentially limitlessly depending on how many of these you want to whack down. They're going to take up space and drain your power grid, but once you get level 3 connected conversion centers, you are able to support an additional 23 employees. My guess is that with updates that are going to bring a full research tree and other aspects of scientific progress to the game, that there's going to be other ways to increase your amount of workers, but right now we just have to rely on the conversion centers. Now these guys are pretty speedy on foot and able to carry a fair amount with them, but their efficiency can be improved dramatically if you put them into a truck. Trucks can move faster and carry more than your basic workers, and a cool thing about the transportation hub here, even though the trucks always end up parked in this location, if a worker is coming from, say, a mine and needs to do a delivery, he gets a truck right there instantaneously, and then once he drops off the truck at the storage facility, the truck goes straight back here to the transport hub, so you don't have to worry about your workers taking trips to and from the transport hub. You can put this anywhere you want on your road network. Expanding with a future road network in mind, it really is the trick to being able to have an efficient expansion within the game. It can be especially difficult in the early stages where you are far away from ever building a transport hub and road system, but then once you get one established, you can always plan out how you are going to stretch out and reach new resource nodes and new areas with still having road access. The roads are automatically built with frequent and convenient bridges across for foot travel, so you don't have to worry about cutting off access to areas across the road. There's always going to be ways for your workers to cross. When you build buildings, they have these little 2 arrows indicating where the entrance is for foot traffic. Don't worry, this does not apply to trucks because, as you can see with all these gold bars here, this is an area where a truck could potentially have access to this building if it needed to exit or make a delivery. And it is able to make a connection at all adjacent spaces to a building. This is regardless of where the actual foot entrance of the building is. When you do scout out new resources that you want to potentially expand to, you do want to keep in mind how you're going to get your road there to have access to be able to get these resources into your storage facilities. Even though this isotope node is fairly close to my main base here, it is completely cut off by this chasm and the river and the other water elements, so getting a road to this area is going to be a nightmare and take a very roundabout route, so this might not be the best area to try and pick up next. While I noted that the transport hub doesn't have to be in a central location to be efficient, you really do want your storage facilities to be as centrally located as possible, or at least placed as close to the mineral refineries as you can get them. This is because workers do have to go back and forth every time they are taking resources out for construction projects or refinement, or just bringing them in from the mines, etc., etc. You can alleviate some of the necessary foot traffic by keeping local storage within the areas that are doing refinement or that are going to see a lot of exchange of resources, but you can't really control what ends up getting dumped in these areas, and these could easily fill up while you still want the processing plants to keep on working. Your employees will automatically bustle around and complete all the jobs that need doing to keep your corporation running, but if you want to really get hands-on with how they are completing their tasks, you can go to the Employee Management tab over here. Now, in general, I am pretty happy with the default priorities that all of your workers have. You just want to be mindful of what priorities they are going to use. So if you queue up a lot of construction jobs, then they are actually going to move away from your processing jobs to be able to finish the construction first, rather than keeping those processing jobs open and running. Also, your waste removal is down at the very bottom, so if you have trash continually piling up, then that is probably because you have a lot of other jobs that are constantly taking your workers away, so they never have a chance to clean up the waste. The simplest way that I've found to tinker with this is, rather than trying to shuffle around the priorities, you can just assign workers to have dedicated full-time jobs working within a particular category. So for me, I was having waste pile up significantly while everything else was operating, but I had enough smokestacks to be able to deal with it, so I ended up assigning a couple full-time workers to just transporting the waste over into the smokestacks, and then once it was there, it was being incinerated at a rate to be able to deal with it all. But if your OCD won't let you have any inefficiencies, you can completely optimize all of your workers' priorities by going in here, creating folders that will give priorities to the exact jobs that you want. To show a good example, we're going to dive into the ruins here. So with the ruins, say that you don't really care how quickly your workers get to surveying the ruins. You just kind of do surveys in batch jobs, and you don't care when your workers finally get around to checking those out. But when you set them to salvage or extract the ruins, you do want them to hop on that to be able to clear that land quickly for your next expansion. Well, to be able to account for this, we're going to drag the ruins all the way down to the lowest priority. So they're here at number 7, the lowest class job possible. This contains surveying, salvaging, and extracting the ruins. Now we're going to build a new folder that is just for salvaging and extracting. And we're going to keep these separate. So we have ruins fast and ruins slow. These ones we don't care about happening. This is what we want to happen quickly. Now, once again, we drag salvage ruins and extract ruins into ruins fast, and we bring that up to whatever priority we wanted. It was previously here at priority 3, so that's where I'm going to drop it. You can do this for whatever jobs you want, digging down into any of these and rearranging, dragging and dropping into the exact priorities you want to have the most efficient company Titan has ever seen. The final tip I have for you is always make sure you have more red artifacts on hand. Red artifacts are fairly plentiful from all the ruins in the game, but they are technically a limited resource, so you want to be careful that you always are expanding to be able to bring more into your stockpiles. It might feel like you reach a place where you don't need to gather any more red artifacts, but when you are bringing in a new ship and have to assign a whole new crew, or a ship is destroyed and you lose that entire crew, then you're going to find that you always want to have a few more red artifacts in the bank to be able to bump that workforce up to where you want it to be. Like, if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on if you have any tips on how to efficiently run your workforce, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.